The question is, hypothetically speaking, if I were stuck in the forest and was on a strictly vegan diet, could I survive off of tree bark for sustenance? And if so, for how long?
Oh, jeez.
Tree bark.
So,
Just tree bark?
yeah, like, so it turns out that yes, you could survive for a while. So you're on a strictly vegan diet. So I guess what they're saying is you're in the forest, you're not allowed to eat bugs, right? You can't catch any type of living creature. And since you're vegan, really going really ethical out there in the woods, you also can't eat the byproducts of animals. So you couldn't find honey or anything like that. And that leaves you pretty much with just plants to eat. So you could survive for a while off of plants and off of bark specifically. So I looked into this a little bit. Apparently, well, so first of all, let me say, there have been people throughout time who have lived off of tree bark, or at least supplemented their more complete diets with tree bark. So tree bark being the product of a plant, it's largely going to be carbohydrate tissue. There's going to be some, no doubt, protein and maybe a small amount of fatty acid tissue. But largely, I guess what you would get from this is protein. The outer layer of most trees is going to be really rough to eat. So the other thing you'd have to think about is, and I guess, so like, let's imagine this is a pine forest. I guess that's fair. There are probably other forests where you have to think about different things, but I know that you can eat the bark of pine trees. Pine bark typically is really rough, so you'd want to maybe boil it before consuming it. And this sounds like a situation where you wouldn't maybe be in that position. So that means that you would have to rip tree bark off and be eating the sort of softer inner cambium. So if we could jump to my screen really quick, I was just going to show the layers of tree bark. So you have the bark out here is the phloem and the periderm. The vascular cambium separates the phloem from the xylem, and the vascular cambium is one of the ways that the tree is going to transport nutrients around itself. And so apparently you can eat the vascular cambium, and it provides a reasonable amount of nutrition. I looked somewhere and it said that you get 500 to 600 calories per pound of tree bark, which seems like harvesting a full pound of tree bark and eating it would be brutal. And the other thing is, like, even if there is, so one issue with eating some plants is that there can be a lot of cellulose or undigestible starches. So cellulose is an example of a long chain sugar that human beings can't break down. This is one of the reasons that we can't really eat grass. So, I mean, you can eat grass. You can physically take grass and put it in your mouth and eat it, and something will come out the other end. But can you digest grass and get nutrition from it? Largely no. And that has to do with the fact that grass is composed of this molecule called cellulose, or has a lot of cellulose in it. I'm just briefly going to show this. So humans eat a lot of starches, right? And cellulose is really similar to starch. What's represented here in the picture, each of these little hexagonal rings represents a single monosaccharide, or a single sugar molecule. So we've got all these monosaccharides in starch, which humans eat. There's a particular kind of bonding between the sugar molecules that's called an alpha acetyl bond. And that human beings, we are able to produce enzymes in our bodies that break that bond and allow us to use those sugars. But in the case of beta acetyls, which are bonds between monosaccharides in cellulose molecules, human beings are not able to produce the enzyme that breaks that bond, and so we're not able to pull nutritive value from grass, largely. And this is true of some other plants as well. And in the case of trees, I think that at least a large portion of what you would eat would be what's called indigestible starch or indigestible cellulose. And this stuff would flush your system, I guess is what I would say. It would a lot of the stuff that you ate would come through the other end, because again, you would not be taking that much nutritive value out of the bark. So I guess I would say you could survive for a while off of tree bark. It would be work for you, but I would question why you're a vegan and living off of tree bark. Like, it seems like if you want to survive, you should give up a little bit on the ethical vegan side. Because if you care that much, if you do survive, and I don't know how long you'd be able to survive, you would be, over time, you'd become very malnourished. You would really not be getting a very complex diet. Just by eating bugs and honey, if you could find it, and opening up to eating maybe other types of plants and a variety of flowers, maybe mushrooms that you find in the forest that are safe to eat, you could have a really complete diet as a survivalist. But eating just tree bark seems crazy to me.
I don't know the answer to this, but like cows eat grass, right? And they can sustain, but they have
Yeah.
a way to break down that.
Yeah, so cows are called
get
ruminants,
nutrients,
and we
yeah.
talk about cows as having 4 stomachs. They really have like a 4-section stomach, but what cows have is a wide variety of bacteria that we do not carry, and they have a system where they let the grass that they eat sit for a while, and it's essentially fermented by the bacteria that are
they
working
can break
inside of their
down
gut, and those bacteria provide the enzyme that breaks the beta-acetyl bonds and allows the cow to uptake the glucose and use it.
That's cool.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
It is
So
cool.
yeah, don't sacrifice health for. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
why
let's
bark?
not
Why
let's not
tree
mix
bark?
let's not mix like an ethical diet with like I have to survive in the woods. Like those two things are just at odds with each other. Like if you want to survive, survive. If you want to
Find
eat
something
if you want to eat like a vegan, well, I don't know what to
gotta
tell you. Good luck, bud.